All right. Well, welcome to How to Find Love During the Pandemic Masterclass. Really excited that you're all here tonight. And for anybody listening to the replay, this is going to be a jam-packed hour or so. So I want you to please give the class your full attention. Shut down distractions. Don't be texting. Just like really listen in because this is your time. And grab a pen and paper or something to write with because you're going to want to take some notes. In April, I taught my first course on dating online during the pandemic for the first time. I created this course because I had been getting so many questions from women about how to date, whether to date, what's going on, how to even be during these challenging times. And I don't know about you, but most of us didn't think we would still be here right now. And I realized there is such a need for information on what to do in terms of finding love at this time. We're still sheltering at home, many of us. Many people in the past had shut down their profiles and took a break, but that break now has turned into 4 freaking months, and or maybe even more. It's March, April, May, June, July. And some states and countries are slowly opening up again, but many, like people in Florida, Arizona, some of the states are really seeing high spikes, Texas, and they've opened up too fast. Some never shut down, and we just don't see an end in sight to COVID-19, unfortunately. And even if there was an end, there still is no back to normal in the near future. So that's why we're here tonight, because I want to teach you some new ways to create connection and intimacy in this new normal without physical contact, without having the dating the way that it used to be. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in tonight's free training. So before I get started, I have a poll for you. Let's see if it's going to work. And in the poll, I want you to answer, what do you miss most about life during the pandemic? So if you can answer, and I think you can answer more than one if you want. What do you miss? Do you miss human touch, hugs and kisses? Do you miss meeting people for coffee or eating out? Some people are eating out now, but we're eating outdoors, people's purse snatching, lots of things are happening. Do you miss working outside the home? Some people are working outside the home, but a lot of us are still home working. I always worked at home, so it's not a big deal for me, but for many it is. Or not wearing a mask. And Jamie says, travel. That is a good one. Yes, I didn't put that one down. That's the good one. I'll have to put that down for next time. Yeah, I went out with a mask the other day, and oh my God, I wore one of those N95s. I had put it on before, and I was in a store. We had walked up like 5 flights of steps to get to the store level, and I literally could not breathe. I was having like a major, almost panic attack. And so this has just been challenging on so many levels. So let's see what the results are. If more of you can vote, we have a few more of you haven't voted yet. So if you can take a moment, we have, I think, 1 or 2 more people. 3 people haven't voted yet. So just take a moment to vote. And I'm going to share the results. So here we go. I'm going to end the poll and share the results. So the results are, the winner is meeting people for coffee and eating out. In a close second was human touch, hugs and kisses, and not wearing a mask is number 4. Number 3. Number 4 has 0. Nobody voted for working outside the home. That's interesting. So we're all going through different challenges, and as Jamie says, travel. A lot of people are not able to travel anymore. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to close the poll down. So thank you for voting. It's always good to hear, like, what is the hardest thing for us? So yes, this has been a really challenging time, and I have seen so many emotions, and a lot of us are feeling we don't really have permission to feel happy when other people are sad, or to feel anxious and afraid when other people are dying. Like we have these conflicting emotions, And some of us are feeling like guilty for having some of them. You know, do I have the right to be anxious or sad or mad when I'm alive, when I'm okay? So I want you to know that all emotions are okay, permission to feel them all, and be kind to yourself, especially now. It's more common now than ever to feel so many emotions almost all at once. And just know that you're okay. You're okay. Give yourself permission to feel. And you might want to change your self talk if you're feeling upset that you're having conflicting emotions or that you feel bad. You can say something kind to yourself, like, may I be kind to myself in this difficult moment. And later on in tonight's call, I'm going to be sharing a powerful exercise that will help you to get back to center and to a calm state of mind whenever you're feeling upset, out of sorts, which happens a lot of anxiety. Me with the mask yesterday, where I was like, I can't breathe, I can't wear this thing. So yeah, this is an important thing to be able to have exercises to ground us. And my job, my mission is to support you during this pandemic to thrive and to find meaning and maybe even to find love, because this is a really unique time. And I believe that every challenge creates new opportunities. We all have a choice about how we process things. We can learn new tools, we can innovate to create a more positive view of dating, and we can focus on the opportunities that are here in front of us rather than worrying about the things that we cannot control. I'm gonna take a drink. Can't control my thirst, but I can control how I drink. So does any of this resonate so far? Like, are any of you, let me know in the chat area if you're having like all kinds of crazy emotions, weird dreams, anxiety, fears, and feeling bad about it, but also feeling happy sometimes, you know, and even sometimes in a single day. So let me know in the chat area what's going on for you. I would love to hear some feedback. And so while I'm waiting for your answers, I just want to say that even though a lot of people have taken a break from dating, dating apps and dating sites are rising. They've seen a spike in the past 4 months. Singles are craving connection because physical isolation creates a need for us to be connected. So many of us are connecting with old friends, but wouldn't it be great to find a true connection with a partner? So whether you're taking a break from dating or you are dating online to find a partner right now, or you had just started to see someone before the pandemic and you didn't know what to do, or maybe you're currently in a relationship and it's a confusing time, whatever it is, you're in the right place. And I want to let you know that we're going to be on for about an hour or so. So be sure to stay on until the very end, because I'm going to be opening up for questions. I also got a bunch of questions in advance that I want to answer for you. And I will be sharing that powerful exercise with you on staying calm. And I have a special offer for anyone who's interested in going even deeper than what I can cover in just an hour. So I'm just going to check the comments. Gail says, mood swings, anxiety, bad dreams. Thank you for sharing that. Emily says, emotional roller coaster. Janet says, definite mixed bag of emotions. And Eileen said, lucky to be working and healthy, fortunately not affected financially by COVID, and sometimes I feel guilty. Yeah, thank you everybody for sharing that. Yeah, lots of emotions, and I'm sure many others who haven't posted can relate to what you shared. So thank you for sharing. Let's begin. Let me tell you why I think this is the best time to date. And before the pandemic, online dating was a place of endless choice for many people. If we didn't like one little thing about somebody, we moved on to find somebody else, or they moved on. You know, maybe they didn't like the color of our hair, or they misinterpreted something in our profile, and boom, boom, swipe, 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 and very flaky. Many people were really frustrated with online dating. Let me know if that's true for any of you here. because, dating is, online dating can be very frustrating. And people just disappear, they ghost. What about men who are only looking for sex when you were looking for serious relationship? We lost the art of courtship. And we had so much confusion out there. Who pays for on a first date? Who initiates contact? All this stuff. It's like, what are we doing here? Eileen says yes. So with the pandemic and physical isolation, a lot of that is just gone. We don't have who pays on a first date if you're not going on dates, but you're having virtual dates. We are regaining that courtship because we have an opportunity now to really get to know men without the pressures of sex and any of the other challenges that we had before the pandemic. So if you're looking for a meaningful connection, an intimate connection, I've got you covered. So I have another question for you, and we're going to talk about, I have a question for you about dating during the pandemic. If you can answer in the chat area, what is the biggest challenge that you are currently facing in dating during the pandemic? Number one, it's too hard to get to know men virtually in this way. Number two, you're afraid there won't be chemistry when you finally meet or have sex. And number three, you're too tired. You're not in the right mindset to date. So I'll say the numbers again. Number one, too hard to get to know men virtually. Number two, afraid there won't be chemistry when you finally meet. And number three, you're too exhausted. You're not in the right mindset to date. We've got Gail said 3, too exhausted. Janet said 3, Dee said 2. Eileen has 2 and 3. You got 2 there. That's good. You can have a combination. And we got none resonate, said Donna. So if something else resonates for you, write down your answer. So what is the biggest fat challenge you are facing, Donna, during the pandemic? Robin says, number one, too hard to get to know men virtually. Emily says, trust. Dee says, men don't respond back. Interesting. And that's for a number of reasons. And we're going to talk about that in my online dating course, to how to date during the pandemic. Wasting time getting to know someone and then being disappointed when you finally meet, says Gail. Yeah, so all of these things. So there are ways to circumvent some of this. And Donna says the willingness to Zoom, which I prefer after talking on the phone. Yeah, so some people are not willing to Zoom, and that's okay, because then if they're not willing to just do anything but talk on the phone, then you really can't get to know them that well. So we have to be able to set some boundaries and know what we want and be able to ask for what we want. And which gets me to point number 2, which is about dumping the old dating rules at this time. And I was never into rules. Anybody who knows me knows that I believe in principles over rules. And now more than ever, it is time to ditch the old dating rules. Before we had coronavirus, before we had physical isolation, we dated online this way. We would text a few times if we matched. And if there was some interest, then we'd get on a short phone call and then we would meet as soon as possible. I mean, that's what I would recommend. Don't spend too much time in the getting to know somebody, because that physical connection was really important, right? We need to see how is our energy when we're in person. But today, we're either not meeting in person or we're meeting socially distanced and with a mask on sometimes. And so we have to dump the old way of dating. So what works today is different. We connect with men online. We text a few times to see if there's interest. We get on a short phone call, and I repeat short because we don't want to talk more than 20 minutes to a half an hour. That's just like a coffee date. Want to see if you're both interested in taking it to the next level, which is a virtual date. And we're going to talk about do's and don'ts about virtual dating in just a minute. So I want to recommend that you don't get into really long texts or email conversations with someone you don't know yet, because you don't want to build a false sense of intimacy. You need to see each other, which is why virtual dating is helpful, or dating with social distancing, to see if there's chemistry. And I think of it like long distance dating. I dated long distance when I first started dating after divorce. I dated a few men long distance. I remember a few men that I dated when I was in summer camp, and we would have Skype dates. And we really got to know each other through these Skype dates. And then when I finally came into town, the guy would take me out. We'd have sushi together. We would meet and really get to know each other. So those Skype dates, which is now taking, FaceTime or Zoom or whatever, WhatsApp, there's so many ways that we can connect virtually. Think of it like long distance, like you can't meet yet. So we want to see, is there a connection worth having, worth expanding on? And since it's like long distance dating, and because you don't know when you're going to actually be able to meet, you can dump another rule that you might have had about dating men who live close by. So many women that I work with start out by having a very small geographic area that they'll date within. So let me know if that's true for you. Do you date within just a few miles radius, 5 miles, 10 miles? Many people are dating in these little small circles of geography, and that can really limit you. And especially if you're flexible. Many of us are able to move at some point, and so if you really want to find love, what can you expand? Lillian says 20 miles, Dee says 50 miles. Eileen says, I'm willing to drive if I have a connection, as it is very rare. I love that, Eileen. So be willing to drive, but also know that they're willing to drive when there's a great connection. It's not only up to us. So expand bigger, expand all your preferences as much as you can. We often miss finding love by 3 miles, half an inch, the kind of hair you're looking for. I mean, it could be so many things, height. And like maybe you never dated a guy who was on a motorcycle, or a guy with tattoos, or a guy holding a fish because you immediately assumed he was a jerk. I want you to really look at your biases and challenge yourself to be open to as many men as possible who would be a good fit, without giving up the areas that are important to you, like the life goals and how you both see the world, and whether he has your 5 must-haves and no deal breakers. And if you're not clear about what those are, I'm going to be teaching that in my pandemic dating course. And so more on that in a little bit. Now, if you begin to develop true intimacy through your conversations, through your virtual dates, the distance can be negotiated at a later time. I mean, it's something to talk about, and you have to have the willingness to have that conversation pretty early on. Like, what will happen if we get closer? Are you willing to travel? Am I willing to travel? Another drink of water. I've been watching a show on Netflix called Indian Matchmaking. And this matchmaker travels. Let me know if any of you have seen it. I like watching any show about dating and relationships. This woman who's the matchmaker is from India, and she travels all over the world to make matches with people who are Indian. And a lot of the matches are flown in from other cities, from pretty far away. And so people have to decide whether it's something that they're willing to work on and, to be able to compromise on. So I want you to think about that. It's done all the time. We have to be more flexible on the things that matter the least. The pandemic has helped many of us realize what's really important to us. Let me know if you've reassessed who you are, what's important to you, who you want to spend time with. I know that I have. I really have limited my energy spent with people and activities that I don't really enjoy, because energy is limited. We have to protect it. And that's why this is also a great time to work on updating your profile. If you wrote that you look forward to traveling, maybe to, Africa for a safari this summer, you're going to want to update that to something that you're doing now to stay sane during the pandemic, or to something you're looking forward to when travel is open again. So you can say, I have a bucket list of traveling to Africa for a safari. I've always wanted to go. I can't wait to do it again after this pandemic ends. I'd love to take a partner with me. And if you're on Netflix like I am, or Hulu, or Amazon Prime, or wherever you watch your movies or binge shows, it's fun to discuss these things on a call. Even if the guy hasn't watched any of the things that you have, it's like, reading a good book or watching a good documentary. I just talked about a good documentary that is on Amazon Prime right now called The Truth About Marriage. And it is an amazing, it's an amazing documentary that I recommend for everyone. I just had the person who produced the documentary on my podcast, Last First Date Radio, and he interviewed so many relationship experts and talked to people who were polygamous and monogamous, and a player who became a monogamist. And it's just fascinating, and you'll learn so much if you're single or in a relationship. So I highly recommend that. But just like I just shared with you, you can talk about this. So these are things to talk about when you're on a call, when you're on a virtual date. Talk about what you've been cooking to stay healthy, or maybe you're not wanting to stay so healthy and you love cooking desserts and something really decadent. So we can share all these things because there's a lot going on during the pandemic that didn't happen before the pandemic. And Donna, I will get to your question in a little bit. Many of us have not updated our profiles in a long time. Let me know if you're one of them, because there are many, many people who have not. So it's time to freshen it up and include what's really, really important to you. So I want you to be bold, add some humor, just be interesting, share more of you. And if you struggle with that, because a lot of people really have a hard time writing about themselves, I have you covered in my course on finding love during the pandemic. I have created a fill in the blank template to make it easy to write a profile that stands out in both long form for the dating sites like Match and OkCupid, and also short form for apps like Tinder, Bumble, Hitch. I just was on a call with a client today who's on this call, and we were reviewing a profile that I wrote for her as part of a package that she gets for having me be her dating coach. And she absolutely was thrilled with what I wrote about her, because it's so hard to write about yourself. So I'm so happy to help with this. It's something I do in the Facebook group that I create for the courses that I do. People can actually post their profiles and get feedback from me and get edits from me. So this is really a hands-on course. I just created a little short profile, and I want to read it to you. And this is pandemic specific. So just to give you some ideas about what you can add to your profile. Holding hands is magical. I can't wait to be able to do that again. I love to be out with a partner in the silent, sunlit, snowy woods in winter with hot chicken soup in a thermos, a warm fire, and a shoulder to lean on. In the summer and spring, I like to walk near the Long Island Sound, breathing in the salty air. I enjoy books about different cultures written with heart and wisdom. I've traveled to some extraordinary places where I learned about unique cultures. I'm looking forward to traveling again with the right partner. I love anything creative, meaningful conversations, good wine, and cooking healthy meals together. I look forward to doing all of that and snuggling up with someone special when the pandemic is over. If that sounds like you, please say hi. So as you can see, it's filled with specifics, what I love, what I'm missing, what I want, what partnership could look like, what I'm looking forward to. And this is something that all of you can add to your profiles. Let's talk about, thank you, Donna, for saying that you love it. Um, it's a good idea to update your photos. And we, all of us, many of us, do not update our photos on dating sites for a while. So you don't have to go to a professional photographer to do this. I'm going to give you some tips on updating your photos. You want to first look and see if you have any that you can add. If you have any in your phone from travel, from weddings, and you can caption them to talk about what, like if it's travel, you can again say, I can't wait to go back to travel after the pandemic's over, when travel restrictions end. And if you don't have any recent photos, take some selfies and take fun selfies, but also you can get somebody who can take pictures for you. If you have a family member that you're sheltering with, or you have somebody who can even stand across the street or in your yard, and you can take pictures. And Janet wants to know, what about pandemic hair? I have pandemic hair. I just put some hair gel in it. If you have, like a delineation, I've actually been letting my gray grow out. Luckily, I don't have too much, but you can either, take a picture where you're not taking the camera from above, seeing where your hairline is. But you can blow dry your hair. You can do lots of things at home. A lot of hair salons are opening back up again. So if you can get an appointment or have somebody come to your home with masks and precautions, that's something to think about. One of my clients just did that. She had her hair done and then she got some great selfies done. Her friend, somebody took pictures of her and they came out amazing. They're really relaxed looking and warm. And I think that all of us can do this. You can, do something a little cheeky during the pandemic, like taking a picture with a bottle of Purell or a roll of toilet paper. But you don't have to. You don't have to do that. I mean, there's one thing I do not want you to do, and that is don't take a picture of yourself wearing a mask for your profile picture. You can put one in somewhere in there to show that you are a mask wearing person, if you are, but a person wants to see your face. And I can't tell you how many profiles of men I have seen where the profile picture is them in a mask. And like, it's too much work to go and find what they look like without their mask. So don't do that. Person needs to see your beautiful face. So when you update your profile by either updating your photos or updating your profile essay, you're going to appear higher up in a man's search, especially in a dating site like Match. Anytime you make changes, you get pushed to the top. And so that's a tip that a lot of people don't know. It's like a little super tip I'm sharing with you, that any change you make, you can change 3 words, change 1 picture, change the order of a picture. It's good to change things up pretty often so that you can keep getting found, because most people are buried underneath a sea of people. And one tip on photos is wear color. When I teach my class, I have a whole big description on what you should wear, how you should pose, what kinds of pictures are going to be seen and chosen over others. So it's too much to share in this call, but color is going to help you stand out. So many people are wearing black and gray, and if you wear red is the color of, sexiness, of warmth, of femininity. If you can carry red, put something red on, and really, but color, any kind of color is going to make you stand out more than other people. And go outside, because the outdoor light is so much better than indoor light. I do have a light that I want to show you, and I'll show you that in a minute. But let's talk about virtual dates, because unless somebody has a question besides about pandemic hair, but if somebody has a question about anything I just covered, let me know about profile photos, profile essay. I'm happy to answer. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm going to continue. Virtual dates. So treat those video dates as real dates. And what I like to do is suggest a video date. You know, people like to kind of sometimes hide behind lots of texts and lots of phone calls and let's get on another call. And if that's not working for you, you know, just say, look, you know, the way I really get to know someone is by seeing them, and I'd love to set up a virtual date with you. Does that work for you? So you can do that through Zoom, through FaceTime, through WhatsApp, through, you know, I mentioned a bunch of them, and do what's comfortable for you. I like Zoom because as we are here, we can have a lovely background. We can set it up, you know, make sure your background looks good. We can have good lighting. We can have better sound. You know, there's nothing worse than being dark, having terrible sound, especially you're meeting somebody for the first time, or blurry. So make sure you have a good camera. And if you're on FaceTime or WhatsApp and you're on a phone, you don't want to hold the camera underneath. You know, I've talked to clients about this because we tend to hold our phone like this, and it can really highlight, you know, the jowls and the wrinkles and all that stuff. So we want to be flattering and hold the camera up higher. And I have this tripod that I use when I'm doing video. So you can hold the camera, you can put the camera in here, and it holds it steady, and it has adjustable legs that can go in and out. So you can get one of these on Amazon. This one is by a company called Mini-D, but it's old. I got it many years ago when I used to do all my Facebook Lives on camera on my phone, because we couldn't do them directly through Facebook. Now we can, so I don't use this very often, but it is a good thing when you're on FaceTime. You can also FaceTime through other devices like an iPad or a computer. And if you're not an Apple person like I am, then there is Zoom, and you can use a free account. And I think the maximum is about 40 minutes for a free account per call, which also is good because it keeps you from going over time, from talking too much on a first meeting. So hold the camera above if you can. You wanna, this is your more flattering position. Now, if you have the delineation line in your hair, you're not gonna wanna hold it too high up. Also, it would be weird to hold it too high up, but best to put it into a tripod. You can hold it this way, and that's it. You know, I have done FaceTime on my desktop, and it's actually works really well. You want to focus on the conversation. You don't want to focus on trying to keep your phone steady. And I have definitely talked to people who cannot hold the phone straight and have, you know, it's just awful, you know, or they hold it, it's set on an angle that's terrible. You can also place your phone on a bunch of books, like form some kind of, you know, platform for your phone or your device, and you can hold it steady that way. So any questions about Zoom or virtual, you know, just the setup? Yeah, I wanted to talk about the light. So I have this light. It's a ring light, and it has a very bright light. I will show you. Barely, you can't really see because it's so bright. But what it does is it creates like a warm light for you to look good on camera. And it has a clip, if you can see the clip, and it can clip onto your phone so that while you're talking, you're lit up. I find this light is a little bright, but it's a really good price. It was like $26 a couple months ago. What I do sometimes is I take a tissue And I'll put the tissue over the light and it will kind of dim the light a little bit. I'll show you how that works. So you can see already it doesn't blind you. There's 3 settings on this thing. But that's what I'll do. Sometimes I'll stick it on top of my computer. It's called a ring light. You can look on Amazon or wherever you buy your things, and it's you'll get it tomorrow. You'll get the link to it tomorrow if you want to check it out when you get the replay. Oh, so Carol, thank you for clarifying that 40-minute limit on free Zoom is only when there are 3 parties or devices on a session. 2 devices can talk longer. Oh, that's good to know. So, you know, check it out. Check it out. Make sure you're using something that works for you. And so you want to have warm light. You want to look good. You want to have a good background. So all of that, we can control all of that. And we want to make a great first impression like we're going on a date. So you want to put some makeup on, wear nice clothing like you were going on a date, and wear something nice on the bottom as well as the top. So many people who are on video are only looking good from the waist up. Unfortunately, there have been some big faux pas when people have stood up. So let's say we're on a Zoom date and the guy says, oh, I see something really cool behind you. Can I see that up close? And now you get up and you walk away and he sees that you're wearing pajamas on the bottom or whatever you're wearing or nothing at all. So you want to be able to be prepared to look good, the whole picture, everything. All right, let's talk about phone and video. How do we make them deeper? What do we say? What do we do? So like I said before, keep that first phone call short. It's just to see if there's enough connection to get to the next step. And whether that next step is a video chat or meeting in person now, you want to speak a short time. And you want the next meeting to also be fairly short. You don't want to share too much too soon. You always want to leave him wanting a little bit more, even if you like each other, especially if you like each other. So also take out a calendar. You know, I find that many people say, I'd love to talk to you, or I'd love to do this again. And you can say to somebody, oh, I'd love to do this again too. You know, it works best for me if I put something on the calendar now to make sure I prioritize you. Does that work for you? And then you get your calendar out and you put a date down. Otherwise, online dating can be like ADD, man. It's like everybody's just forgetting who they're talking to, forgetting they ever had a conversation, moving on. So if you like somebody, try to nail that second connection down. And let's talk about what to say on the first phone call. So if somebody has something interesting in their profile, talk about it. Find out what he does for a living, but not just what he does, but what he likes about it. And prepare your answers to any questions you ask him. Today with my client, we sat and prepared questions that get asked very often, like, why are you still single? How do you feel about online dating? Did you have any long-term relationships since your divorce? All these questions get asked a lot. Did you initiate your divorce? Why did your last relationship end? You want to prepare answers to these questions, and that's something I help you with in the course. It is so important to prepare. It's like PR for dating. You don't want to get like a deer in the headlights when somebody asks you these questions. They can be annoying, they can be repetitive, but if you are clever and prepare your answers, you're going to be more memorable and more connected to a man. Whenever you share what you're passionate about, like the why, what's important to you and why, you share a little bit of your heart. And when you ask him, what do you like about your job? Why did you travel to this place? What did you like about that place? You're going to find out deeper into, you know, the way he works, how he sees the world. This is how we make deeper connections much quicker. So You can talk about the pandemic, but not much. You can ask him if he's had to make any big adjustments during the pandemic, and tell him a little bit about yourself. And you just want to see in that first phone call, how does he sound? Do you like his voice? Do you feel enough of a connection to get to that next level? That is it. That is it. And you feel free to end that call. You know, it's been great talking to you. I have to go. I'd love to do this again sometime. How about you? And if he says yes, then say you want to schedule something, you want to schedule a video chat for later this week. Um, and if you're ready to meet, you can do that right then and there. So on the video chat or on that first date, you want to get to know him. And you want to get to ask him some questions that will get to the next level of getting to know him. So I have some questions that I am sharing with you today. And some of these are new. Most of them are from the course. In the course, I have hundreds, more than 100 first date, second date, and beyond questions, because I want you to be able to choose. We all have to find questions that resonate for us. So I'm going to share a few with you right now. Pick the ones you like best, and you don't need to write these down because you're going to get them tomorrow in the email with the replay. Here are some ideas for questions. What are you binge watching these days? So again, prepare your answers to all of these questions. So you want to be able to share. Oh, what if the guy says, I don't really watch anything, or you don't watch anything? May not work for you. What would your perfect vacation look like? So if you could plan a vacation, what would it look like? If you could give your younger self just one piece of advice about dating, what would it be? I like this one. I think you can find out a lot about a person if they share advice about what they would have told a younger person. Another one is, if you could wake up tomorrow having gained any one quality or ability, what would it be and why? And remember, you have to prepare your answers to any questions you ask. Another one is, if you had a superpower, what would it be? What's the greatest accomplishment of your life? That's a fun one. Another one is, have you connected to anyone special lately that you haven't spoken to in a long time? What have you paid more attention to during the pandemic? And the last one is, what's the first thing you're going to do when the quarantine is lifted? So these are deeper questions than many of us ask on a first date. We often keep it really superficial, and we don't really get to know someone. So we can't really know whether we want to see that person again, or we kind of hang in there, but we're not really into them. So we want to make sure that we make meaningful connections. I'm looking at the time and I want to get to your questions. So I'm just going to quickly go through some virtual date ideas. And then we're going to talk a little bit about meeting in person. And then I'm going to take your questions, share an exercise, and we're going to close. So what can you do on virtual dates to make them fun, meaningful, and help you get to know someone? First of all, here's what not to do. Try to keep politics and the pandemic out of the conversation when you're first getting to know someone. You can easily just get super heavy or negative, and we want to keep this light. We're just getting to know someone. So if you find yourself going there, back it up, pull yourself out. I've done that. I've heard men do that. You're getting into really intense conversation, and then it's like, oh, you know what? Let's just change the topic because this is getting really heavy. So don't be afraid to do that. Here's a couple of ideas. There are museum tours you can both take online, and you can, if you're on Zoom, you can share the screen. I love, love, love going to museums with dates in real life. So going on a museum tour online, and you can Google this to find so many museums opened up to tours online. You get to talk about the sculptures, the paintings, and you learn so much about a person. So ask, what do you see in this painting? Or imagine you're in this painting. What do you think would happen next? You know, you can do like an improvisation exercise. You can also have a wine and paint party. There are wine and paint stores that are closed, but they're offering virtual classes. So you can both have tickets to a wine and paint party and paint something. I'm not sure how it works because I've never done it, but you can also just do a fun one of your own by having you both have to make funny stick drawings, you know, and pick a topic. You can also play hangman and all kinds of games online. There's so many you can do if you Google it. There's board games, online games that you can do. There's Zoom has a whiteboard and you can actually draw on it and play Pictionary. I mean, really fun things. And you can see, like, does a person get stressed out easily? You know, is he creative? Is he funny? You can cook things at the same time. You can prop your phone up in the kitchen and just both of you have a recipe. Maybe you both have something from one of those sites like Blue Apron. Maybe he sends you a box and he sends himself one, and you both cook and eat together. You know, that could be a fun activity because you can't do it together in the same house. You can do it together online. That would be probably for a later date, but that's a fun thing to do. And he can also order takeout for both of you to eat at the same time, you know, and have takeout sent to your home. Again, you're not giving out your address until you trust somebody. Board games, I mentioned. I also love the game Would You Rather, which is a game you can play online. And it's got questions like, would you rather have a superpower of invisibility or being able to fly? And you pick one, and both of you talk about why you picked that particular superpower. It's a kid's game, but it's really, really fun and informative to play with a partner. I have done this. I love it. There are also free Broadway shows that you can watch either together or watch them alone and discuss. Hamilton is now on Netflix, I think, or Prime, I don't remember. And you can also plan a trip together by going on TripAdvisor and YouTube to learn more about a place. So as you're getting to know someone, you're like, wow, we're dreaming about taking a vacation together. I mean, it's exciting to do that, even if it's going to take a long time to go. All right, so any questions, comments? What's the online questions game? It's called Would You Rather. So you can just Google games to play online. And in the course, I offer links to all of these things. But yeah, there's tons and tons of stuff. So let's move to meeting in person. If you're ready to meet in person, and I have gone on one date and I'm going on more dates in person. So it's kind of tricky and it can be confusing, especially if you are honoring social distancing, wearing a mask. What do you do? So I can't advise you on safe medical practices. It's not my job, and I'm not qualified to do that. This is a very personal decision that you all have to make based on where you live and what you feel comfortable with. So I'm going to share my own way of meeting men in person. So I like to now move it to an in-person. After a few phone calls or video chats, I tell a man that I would like to meet him before having any more conversations because I want to get a sense of who he is. And usually they agree right away. So we meet and I let him know that I am practicing social distancing. I ask him if he is. Has he been wearing a mask out? I mean, you want to know, is somebody on the same page as you before you meet? And so I say, you know, I'm not going to hug you. I'm not going to touch you. You know, I really let a person know what I do and don't do. So we meet. I've taken walks 6 feet apart. You know, when we're 6 feet apart, I will remove my mask because we want to be able to see each other. And no hugging goodbye, no shaking hands, no kissing. And so that's, you know, when we're first meeting, we just make sure that we keep our social distance and stay safe. And as you get to know a man, if you trust him, if you really feel that this is a man that you want to spend more time with, then you can get to the point where you feel safe enough to include him in what we call the Corona bubble. Those are the select few people that we allow into our circle of trust. And I know that, like, my daughter has her boyfriend who's in her circle of trust, and his family. Um, she's still maintaining some social distance with them and a few other close friends, but they are the only people she sees. So I allow her to come back into my home where I have a Corona bubble. I started seeing a few friends, and we're seeing each other outside in a yard or on a deck. We order food in and we stay socially distant. I have a book club that's been meeting virtually, and I want to now move it to meeting outside. So some of us are more comfortable with that than others. So the next time we meet, we're going to still be virtual. So it's all up to you. Let me know what your preference is. And if you've been meeting people in person, I'd love to see in the chat um, what you've been doing. Because, this is not changing anytime soon. So we really have to be prepared to ask for what we want, prepare for what we want, and know how to stay safe and have our boundaries. So as you can see, when you have a new mindset and a new skill set, it is possible to find love online during the pandemic. I've had clients who have made incredible connections. People have been really making much, much deeper connections. And I hope that you heard something today that will inspire you to also create meaningful connections virtually and anticipating a meeting in the near future. And I'm going to be answering your questions in a minute. And I'm also going to be sharing that powerful exercise for staying centered when you're feeling anxious or upset. So don't leave yet. And but before we go any further, I would love to hear some takeaways that you are taking away so far from this training call. Please let me know. I really don't like just talking to myself because it gets a little boring. And I'm going to take a drink of water. So what's a nugget that you're taking away today? Not seeing anybody writing yet. I would love to hear from you. Cynthia says, questions to ask or games online like the museum tours. Thank you for sharing. Eileen says, need to update my pictures. Yes, and you can, even during a pandemic. And Dee likes my ideas about dating ideas. There's so many ideas, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, seriously, I have come up with so many ideas. You need to get a ring light. Yeah, it's just important to have good lighting, however you get it, and to look good on camera, because that's really how we first connect during these crazy times. So thanks to everybody who's sharing, and love the profile I shared. Thank you, Eileen. I appreciate that. That was a quick one. So when you work with me in this course, you get my feedback. You get those kinds of profiles that really stand out. I mean, how many profiles have you read that have been boring, don't tell you anything, cliches, right? There's so many that are the same. And when you can stand out, when you can have better conversations, when you can have better pictures, when you can be playful, when you can be prepared for your phone calls, for your virtual dates, you are going to have a much, much better chance than most people to find love online. So I am going to, I'm about to launch this course. It's the third time that I'm launching it. It's a 4-week course that's starting in August, and it is really, don't wear your pajamas, says Jamie. And it's so comprehensive. I've kept the, there are live classes every week. It's you know, you're rewriting profiles. Some people had not dated in 35 years and got onto this course. And because I pushed them, they went on their first date in decades. People who had been too scared to go online, people who were online but feeling bored with online dating. And so it is just a really important thing. And I usually don't help people with profile writing unless they hire me for that. So, you know, it's a private client service, and and in the Facebook group that we have for the course, you can post your photos, you can get feedback on all that. You refine your deal breaker list and your must have list, and you learn how to message men. These are all amazing things that I offer to clients that I offer in this course. And I have a comprehensive workbook, and it takes you step by step through the whole dating process, and lots of bonuses. There are styling tips from my image consultant stylist, Scarlett DeBeese. She tells you the right colors to wear, the right jewelry, the lighting, the neckline, how you're going to look your best on camera. So many of these tips, and you're going to be getting a link to the course. Actually, I'm going to put it here for you, and then I'm going to get to your questions in just a minute. So I also offer a half hour of private coaching with me to the first 10 women who sign up. So if you would like to be one of those women, I would love to work with you. I really suggest you sign up as soon as possible because those go really fast. And I have also moved the time to an evening slot. Even though I don't like doing late night calls, I know that people on the West Coast and people who work a full day really need to meet me at night instead of the middle of the day, which I like to do because I'm a day person. So if you have missed the last classes and you know the daytime didn't work for you, I've moved it to the night. I've extended it to an hour and 15 minutes a class, and it's starting August 3rd. So I would love to help you find love online during the pandemic and beyond. These are not just specific to the pandemic. So let me know in the comments if this is of interest to you. I would love to help you. This is really, the price is lower than any other course I teach today because I know a lot of you are suffering financially. And I want you to find love. So let's go with the questions. And we have one from Melanie. She says, do you have any suggestions for photos? Well, I already gave some suggestions. She said, I have one from the last time I did online dating 9 years ago. I don't want to use it. It can be misleading. And yay, Melanie, because many people are using old photos. And they are misleading. And she says, I'm sheltering alone, so my only option is a selfie, which are notoriously awful after a certain age. Or should I try to search through old photos and choose something, even if there are other people in it? So no to pictures with other people. So if you have group photos, again, you don't want somebody to waste brain cells trying to figure out who you are. You want to post you only. Selfies are not notoriously awful after a certain age. It's how you take the selfies. So I gave some tips tonight. And if you're sheltering alone, you can still get people to stand away from you and take pictures. So I suggest either you do better selfies or take pictures and bring somebody in from your Corona bubble. Rhonda asked, she's been speaking with a guy for 3 weeks. She lives in New York. He lives in Israel. He has no plans to return to the States until October. And she says, while we get along well, we've had some great phone conversations. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't go to Israel to visit him as it's on the verge of being locked down again. We have planned to do some video chats to help the relationship develop. My question is, does this have a chance of working from 2 different countries? If we both work at it, I really want it to work out. So Rhonda, I'm glad you met somebody lovely, and I recommend you get on video chat ASAP. Phone conversations are one-dimensional. Video is the next best thing since you cannot meet him until October. And you may find on video that you don't connect in the same way, or you do. So you want to know, can it deepen? And if you take my course and you learn how to create more meaningful connections, you'll be able to really know whether you should stay or go. So it does have a chance of working if you can continue to develop the connection. So talk about long distance. This is about as long distance as you can get. And knowing that he is going to come back to the States, that is also a good thing to know. So good luck, Rhonda. And Donna said, I'm looking for love during this pandemic, and phone calls are great, Zooms are great, and it's comfortable and safe. Then you socially distance, have a face-to-face date. When do you feel safe to hold hands, even kiss after a month of this new dating platform? It's scary to me, and trust is paramount here. Yeah, so Donna, I did cover that in our class tonight. Again, I can't tell you when it's okay to hold hands or kiss. I think that, one thing people are doing is making sure that people are not in contact with other people for 2 weeks. So if you can both agree to self-quarantine for 2 weeks and even to test for coronavirus, you might build more trust. I know that Oprah Winfrey had her best friend Gail and a whole crew of TV people come to her estate and stay at the guest house for 2 weeks and quarantine until they were allowed into the house. So that's what people seem to be doing, and to build trust. So, it may be inconvenient, but if you really, really feel that this is a person that you do trust, and trust is built, man, it's not just assumed, then this might work out. There are people who moved in together who had just started dating, and for some people it strengthened the relationship, and for others it totally ruined it. This is certainly a good way to find out. And we have, yes, people are working out of home. And again, so if you're working out of your house and you're not leaving your house and both of you are quarantined, then you can say, look, don't even be in touch with anyone for 2 weeks, and then I'd be happy to come over. Again, it's a personal decision. So you might want to consult with a medical expert on this, but it seems to be that quarantining for 14 days is what people are doing. So, in general, this is what works. People are creating connection, and they are creating closer connection than ever before. We're feeling like we are having courtship. We are having, something special that we didn't have before pandemic. So does anybody else have another question? Because I want to share that exercise that I promised. Anybody? Going once, going twice? I know we're at time, so I want to be able to really end close to when I said I was going to end. So when you're feeling off center, and we often do during this crazy period of time we're going through, we have thoughts swirling around in our head often. We just feel like all this kind of anxiety and a lot of thoughts. So we want to get out of our head and into the body. And so this exercise is called Feel Your Feet. And if you're in a place right now that you can do this, I want you to place your feet firmly on the ground and just bring your awareness to the bottom of your feet. And you can wiggle your toes, try to feel all of your toes. And when you do this and take a few breaths, it helps to draw all of the energy that is excess down into your body and out of your head. So pay attention to any sensations you have in your feet. And this can work within 30 seconds. So I suggest you do this several times a day, like even every hour. If you're sitting at a desk, stand up, breathe, move around a little, and then really pay attention to your feet, and really try, even if you're sitting, to really bring the awareness to the bottom of your feet and get all those swirling thoughts out of your head. So if you have found value in what I shared with you tonight, you really are going to love my 4-week course, How to Find Love During the Pandemic. It's going to help you to create the best profile and choose the best photos, get your communication skills improved, build your core confidence, and really define the right partner for yourself. You'll learn when to stay, when to go, how to, preserve your energy, because our energy is the only thing that we cannot replace, right? We have a finite amount of energy in our day, and we want to preserve it. So we want to only give our energy to people who deserve it. So let me know in the chat if you have any questions about the course, and I really hope to see you there. Let me know if you enjoyed tonight. I would love to hear from some of you before we go. And you can even unmute yourself if you like, and let me know, how was this for you tonight? Great discussion. Thank you, Eileen. You're welcome, Dee. I'm really happy that you all joined. I know you could have been doing anything else tonight, and I really appreciate that you came, that you were here with me. Good information, says Donna. Thank you. And Meryl says, thank you. I really enjoyed how you phrase things for profiles and continuing date. Awesome. And Gail says, thank you. You're welcome. Joanne says, thank you. You're welcome. So thank you for thanking me. And Cynthia says, thank you. As always, great information. Thank you. And Donna said, too bad no males joined. Ha ha ha. Yeah, this is not a matchmaking group. This is for us to be better at dating. And I am going to tell you that the more you date, the more selection you will have, and you will find that outlier, that person who is that needle in a haystack. He's out there. And I'm happy to meet you too, Donna, Meryl, and hearing men's feedback. I have written a lot about that. I have interviewed men. I usually have a man in my course to give feedback, and maybe I'll bring some into this round of the online dating course. That's a great idea. I like to have a man panel so that women can ask questions. So if that's an idea that you would like to hear more about, if you would like to see that, let me know in the comments. And I thank you. Have a great night, everybody. And I will see you soon. Hope to see you in the course. Bye.